Hi, I'm Nilsa Alvarez, and this is my forgiveness story, or should I say my unforgiveness story. It all started with the fact that there's a serious medical condition in my dad's side of the family called lupus. One of the universities here in the US decided to do a case study just on my family, just because we had over 14 cases of this serious illness. Growing up, I kept telling myself, God, if anything ever comes my way, please never let it be lupus. I remember that shortly after my 18th birthday, I went to see my doctor for my annual checkup. I got a call shortly after saying that I need to see an endocrinologist. As soon as I walk into the office of my new specialist, she says, Nilsa, you do know why your doctor sent you to me, right? Nilsa, you are suffering from a severe juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And I said, okay, arthritis, I don't feel anything. I remember she did this whole checklist. Well, do you feel this? Do you feel that? And I'm just like, no. And the list went on, and she said, Nilsa, honestly, according to your lab work, clinically, you should be on the ground right now crying of this terrible pain throughout your body. Well, she was perplexed. Month after month, did more and more lab work on me until she sat me down and said, Nilsa, you do know that your case is so unique that I had to take it up to the state medical board, and all they keep telling me is to keep testing you to see what's going on. Everything's telling me that you are just getting worse, even though physically you're telling me you don't feel anything. And I was just like, God, I don't know why I have this severe juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, but I need you to heal me. And in that prayer moment, I just remember getting this thought that everyone that received their miracle in the Bible was given first an instruction, whether it was dip in the river 7 times or wipe off the mud off your eyes so you can see. And I'm like, okay, God, what's my instruction? What do I need to do to be healed? And in that very moment, the Holy Spirit just spoke to my heart and said, you need to talk with your Father and ask Him to forgive you for all the years that you've dishonored Him, criticized Him, and that you believed that He doesn't deserve to be your Father. I was shocked. I was like, ask Him to forgive me for what? I'm thinking He should be the one asking me for forgiveness. I grew up in a divorced household, so I held back a lot of resentment with my father, especially not growing up with him. So I decided I need to have this conversation because God told me to. I remember this conversation real well because it was probably the hardest conversation I've ever had with my father. And I just remember just saying, hey, Dad, I need to talk to you. And we're sitting at the diner table in his house. And I say, Dad, I really need you to forgive me for all the years that I've dishonored you, criticized you, and believed that you didn't deserve to be my dad. I'm really sorry. I was wrong. Can you please forgive me? And I remember just seeing a blank stare in his eyes and just saying, yeah, sure, I forgive you. Why did you think all that? In the end, I was in tears on the phone with who would soon be my husband and say, honey, I can't believe what happened today. It just went so bad. It was terrible, but I did what God asked me. And he said, Nilsa, you did what God asked you, and that's what matters. You asked Him for forgiveness. You did your part. This conversation wasn't really for Him, it was for you. And I remember shortly after that conversation, I went back to the endocrinologist for my lab work yet again. A month later, I go into my primary care physician's office to find her going through my file and just saying, this is crazy. It's a miracle. And I'm like, okay, what's the miracle? She said, well, you know why I sent you to the endocrinologist, right? Because you had lupus. No, I was told it was a severe juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And she said, yeah, lupus? I'm like, well, how would I know? I don't know all these medical terms. And she said, well, it doesn't matter now because it's gone. And I said, what do you mean it's gone? I was elated, to say the least. But I sat down in my car in the doctor's parking lot, and I remember saying to God, oh my gosh, I had lupus this whole time? This terrible illness that runs in my dad's side of the family? I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said, but God, you healed me. And I remember that as soon as I told him, you healed me, again, the Holy Spirit just replied back. He says, no, you healed yourself the moment you asked your Father to forgive you. You see, it was unforgiveness that was getting me sick. And it opened my eyes how many people out there right now are struggling with life-threatening diseases that's actually starting at the heart. The unforgiveness, the bitterness that's drying up their bones, that's getting them sick. I don't know what you're facing, but God gave us this instruction to forgive, not just because it's good for the person we're forgiving, but it's also a blessing for our health. It's a blessing for ourselves. So now I know I can't hold a grudge with anyone because it can really put my health at risk. And that's my forgiveness story.